We're going to go with Dekoichi beats over here. Dekoichi has been summoned to attack position, and we're just going to try to launch an attack with the train. The train has left the station, and it is the nobleman of Crossout, and Ivan Rosito has fallen. And Anthony Alvarado is your new GOAT Format Europe champion. What is up, GOAT World? It's me, your boy JDZ, and I'm back at you again with another GOAT Format video. We got another champion has been crowned. Another ruby in the crown of a player that I think is one of the very dopest players we got. Someone I've gotten to know in these past dueling years. I have none other than SJC, FLC, now GFC, running the continent of Europe. I have a good friend of mine, Mr. Anthony Overdose 44 Alvarado in the building today. How you feeling, champ? How does it feel to be here? How does it feel to be the champ? Talk to us right quick, man. Where you been? What's been going on with you?
Hey JDZ, hey GOAT fam. Things are well with me. Family man first, businessman second, Yu-Gi-Oh player forever. Right? We can't let that go.
You know the vibe. You know the vibe. And you came by the booth after you just clinched your victory, man. I gave you congratulations then, but I just want to be the first again to say huge congratulations for your momentous achievement. A lot of duelists can play this game for a long time and not get half the accolades you got, and especially being a GFC champion. These things are incredibly difficult to win, incredibly difficult to get, and you have now ascended that great mountaintop. So real quick, before we hop into this thing, tell us how that feels. How does it feel to put in that amount of work and now get to where you want to be?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you always, saluting the OGs and calling out, our glory days and just our success, right? And giving us this platform to share and obviously share our joys of the GOAT community with everyone, the game itself. One of the crowns you left out is the 3v3 title also.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's up. You gotta defend that. That's coming up again this dueling weekend, so you gotta stay tuned for that.
Allowed you that plug real quick, right? So see you guys next week. But yeah, shout out to my teammates from last 3v3 / Tab and Necro. This upcoming weekend, 22nd. I look forward to another high intensity tournament. Me, Lucas and Ludo, we plan on defending my title, and they're looking for their third invite of the year, so I'm excited for that. But to answer your question, I mean, it feels incredible to be able to play this game at a high level, 20 years later almost. And the fact is, I am a family man. I do have my manager responsibilities at my employment, and I still try to, keep in touch with fitness and balance. And, like I got my girls who have ballet, so I'm back and forth. You guys, every once in a while, you'll know that I'm playing my tournament at a ballet studio or even at in a ballet hall in a concert while it's going on. But, I just enjoy the game so much. And to be able to have won a Shonen Jump during GOAT format, to be able to have won an FLC when I returned, I believe in 2020 to GOAT format. And then, now this year, winning the GOAT Format European Championship for that triple crown, it feels amazing. Only myself and LeBounty can say we have those three titles. There are some three-peaters out there, but, to say you have these three elusive titles, to have the in real life, Shonen Jump title and these, it's an amazing feeling. I was so excited. I can't tell you how much the LFG that I typed in the end of the match against Ivan was nothing compared to the LFG I was letting out while I was screaming for joy and fist pumping. Like I let my hair grow out a little bit, so I had that Jersey Shore vibe down here in Florida, fist pumping. But it was a great feeling overall. It was an exhausting day. Definitely took its toll mentally. There's definitely decisions. If I look back, I probably made a ton of mistakes, and fortune favors the bold, and I made some deck choices that we'll go over, and some decisions during the tournament that allowed me to make it to this point. And obviously, walk away with the crown. So I appreciate that.
Man, that's huge. That's huge. That is well said. But you still got a lot of heavy lifting left to go. You mentioned your arch nemesis. I call him your rival. I'm sure you guys are very good friends. You go way back in the day. Lil Bounty does have that triple crown. He does have a GFC this year, and you guys are pretty close in this Player of the Year discussion. I know that's a title that's also very important among the highly contested competitive community. But you know what I'm saying? I'll be keeping a sharp lookout for this GOAT Format World Championship to see who is going to get a little bit further. You know what I'm saying? Keep that rivalry alive. But hey, you mentioned your deck. You mentioned your deck. You mentioned this event. I want to jump into that because I want to spend a lot of time talking. I want to hear from you about this deck because I love it. I love it. I think it's super interesting. I love the concept that you came up with and the strategy that you provided. So I'm gonna pull that deck up right here. But first, make sure you guys subscribe and like this video if you like what Anthony Alvarado has put together. So here is the deck that your GFC European champion has created for this event. I thought it was very cool. But I'm gonna immediately throw it over to you, and you can talk about this deck in as much detail as you want, and just in some of the choices that you made for your main deck and also your side deck.
Great. No, I think number one, anytime you approach a tournament, I've mentioned this in Coach's Corner before. This goes to anybody who's new or even the experienced players. You really just got to do your homework when it comes to what's going on in the meta. And I know we tend to chat in War League and sometimes in the GOAT Format server about trends and behaviors of certain players. And I saw a lot of trends that fortunately favored some of my deck choices in my main and my side deck. And I'll start off with the 3 trap dust shoots. I mean, you got players out there calling this a trap dust shoot meta. You know, the game has become trap dust shoot. And until someone changes, the vibes, for lack of a better term, the trap dust shoots at 3 are seen play heavily.
Right.
Yep. So the one problem I found with trap dust shoot is that obviously once you get into those player matchups where you have an experienced player, such as your Ivan Rositos, myself and him in the finals, I couldn't have picked a more difficult opponent to play against on that day. He having been rested a few hours before he and I got to go head to head, and me being exhausted after 9 hours because I heard our match took about 3 hours. But like he played around trap dust shoot really well, so it's definitely it's a skillful card to play. You hope to draw it early. You hope to never draw it after you need it. But it's definitely one of those cards that I felt was needed at 3 copies in the deck. So I went that route. The other thing I would say is when I analyze the last few majors, and I'll call out the Format Library Championship number 30. I'll call out the FCI, I guess, for the France International Championship. And I also looked at the Shuffle Deck Gaming outcome. And what I noticed was a lot of the same decks were out there, but I want to say it was almost 14 different War League players registered the FLC with what is deemed to be called the Nicey deck, right? So the Chaos Turbo deck that Don't Copy ran literally was 55 cards exactly the way it was. And all it takes for a deck like that to take off is for someone like Ivan Rosito to sign off, right? So when I saw that trend, I knew what exactly almost card for card to expect from many of the War League players when they were running Chaos Turbo. So that's enough homework and enough information for me to play out some of these long drawn out matches, knowing card for card what they're running, right? So with that said, I want to talk about just Chaos Turbo in general.
Okay.
We preach on what's the best deck. Warrior the best deck, Chaos Turbo the best deck. The highest ceiling is Chaos Turbo. Chaos Turbo is the best deck. Because you get to use combination of cards like Graceful Charity with Thunder Dragon. Because your card destruction can generate huge advantages and huge card swings. It's such a high ceiling deck that I feel like you have to run it. I feel like it's the best deck, and I would say there are some floating slots as far as what you could and couldn't play in your main deck. But for the most part, I feel like cards like Card Destruction just increase that ceiling. I feel like Night Assailant serves dual purposes because it's a dark. It allows you to use cards like Regeki Break Hardy and Graceful Charity to generate advantage. And you don't want to lose that ceiling. There's nothing worse than going head to head in a Chaos Turbo matchup, and you don't have that speed that generates some of the advantages here. But so I decided Chaos Turbo was my pick. I decided 3-trap dust shoots was a must, and I decided that all the broken one-offs, obviously the Trinity and Card D, were something I needed to have. But what most people are curious about was the Zombyra 4-4, the dog. Zombyra the dog.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are waiting to hear my analysis on Zombyra. I will say this. I expected there to be a high volume of warrior matchups to be going against due to the last major, if we want to call it that, online major, FLC 30. It was the last online major. Don't copy one with Chaos Turbo. And typically what ends up happening when a deck like that wins, people go a little bit hard. You'll see double level 2s, you'll see triple trap dust shoots come out of the woodworks. And I wanted to have something that I could summon and not lose card advantage to warrior. So in instances where I would summon a deco to hit a level 2 and they would just come back over the top, usually I'm at a loss of a card because that level 2 put in work. I traded off with my deco, but then my deco went -1. So I needed something that would potentially do the reverse to warriors. When they have a Kaiku up or Blade Knight up and I'm able to come over their top with a 2100 Zombyra, it's hard for them to get it off the board. They typically have to use a resource that they don't want to, whether it be a trap, whether it be an exile force or reinforcements of the army, or whether or not they have to force cards down to make Blade Knight big enough to get back over him when he's 19. It's just one of those, I can summon it safely and possibly get over your monster or just stand in front of your guys, similar to how a spy would. And we'll go over that in a video, one of the replays I wanted to share with the folks here from round 1. But Zombyra overall performed well in what I expected to be a heavy warrior matchup. The fact is, the day was as long as it was because with my 11 rounds of play, I only played 3 warrior matchups. So
really? So it wasn't nearly as many warriors as I had anticipated. Maybe you just didn't get them, but I was on the same wave as you. I thought it would be so many significantly higher warriors in attendance at this event, and it just wasn't.
Well, I'll share another interesting point of that though. So when I looked at my 11 matches, my warriors all came within the first 5 rounds. So 3 of my first 5 round opponents, I want to say, were warrior matchups. And the reason that's significant is because with the high volume of control decks we started to see in this tournament, a lot of your warrior players who typically were exposing our Chaos Turbo players were being exposed by the control matchup.
That's true.
So that metagame call where people also thought, hey, but they're also going to be a high level of warriors to beat this Chaos Turbo, they decided to not adapt Chaos Turbo but to run control. And consequently, you got players like Undefined, Goberman, they're just taking out warrior decks like crazy with their control strategies. And fortunately for players like, Ivan, Purple Drunk, myself, we probably had to play our warrior decks early on. And after that, it was, Mirror Town. But I will say this, running 3 Zombyras, game 1 against Chaos Turbo is not a fun experience. I will say it has its advantages against Warrior, but against Chaos Turbo, if you look at my deck list here, it has a complete disadvantage to a deck list like Ivan's. For me to come out of that win with a win against Ivan 2 out of those 2 matches, I jumped as hard as I did, not because I didn't think I was skillful enough to outplay or win the matchup, because I thought I definitely had to be lucky. Because this deck was completely built much better than mine. So if you're looking for a deck to run, I'm not going to tell you mine would be the first one to go with. I would tell you probably Ivan's list as control Chaos Turbo. It would be the best because of how fast and consistent his deck is. My deck it's a knuckle dragger. You got warriors in there. You expect it to be helmet and knuckle drag at some point. So.
But talking about this Zombyra the Dark, did it ever come up where this dude can't attack direct? I know every time I try to load this card into my deck, I always get instances where I'm like, dude, I need this guy to do some damage, and he just can't do it. Did that come up for you in this tournament? Is that something that how do you mitigate that as a triple Zombyra player?
Yeah, what I'll say about that is, usually when Zombyra comes down, its sole purpose is board presence. And when you're able to come over the top of a Kaiku, a Blade Knight, a Ninja Grandmaster, a Tribe Breaker, a Defense Mode Sorcerer, um, it served its purpose. And the fact that it can't attack directly for 21, 19, 17, I'm typically not summoning it into those type of positions. I'm
Mm-hmm.
typically summoning it to hold board presence, or I'm typically summoning it to get over a pesky monster like a Blade Knight so that I can safely set my flip monsters. Not being able to attack means typically, and this is a sequence that happens often, is I'll kill a monster for warriors, and the following turn I may set another monster. And my Zombyra at 19 literally says you can bring whoever you want down to try to hit my face down monster, whether it be a ninja, Kaiku. As long as it's not a 2000 Blade Knight, I will come right back over the top of you. And him being able to knock off two monsters for him and drop himself down to 17, which is still formidable in this meta. It's a complete one-sided matchup when Zombyra gets to put in the work. So him not being able to attack directly was never something I worried about. My damage typically comes in the form of Decoichis, Spies, Sorcerer,
Mm-hmm.
Breakers, Tribe Plays, just like every other Chaos Turbo deck. You notice the only monster I'm not running that a typical Chaos Turbo player would run is Tsukiyomi. She found her way into my side deck, but typically all the other monsters are there. There's a third spy and a Tsukiyomi, and they usually run 20 guys, and that's the standard.
Yeah.
So damage itself was not a problem for me. The overspill probably even helped. Being able to run over a Thunder Dragon or a Breaker for 5 to 300, it always helped out in the long run. But yeah, Zombyra played itself well. I never ran into a position that I could recall where I'm like, man, I could definitely close this game out if it could only attack directly. I felt it did its job, and I walked into this tournament saying I'm the more experienced player. If you can't knock me out, and the longer you let me live, is the longer you're gonna
Mm.
have to deal with me becoming a problem. And that ended up being the case in many matchups, including the final three where you saw Purple Drunk deck out. You saw Ivan go down to two cards left in deck before admitting, and our follow-up game one was almost a 40-minute grinder where again, um, board presence is key and critical, and it was able to manage that. But I would say overall, again, it's a much slower deck. I don't have Jar Greeds.
All
I don't
right.
have a third spy. I don't have the Book of Moon to sort of recycle cards like Faith or Deco, protect my sorcerer. So it's a little more grindy, and you need to anticipate and be ready for that. So
Nice. Okay. Okay. And you guys at home, make sure you get into the comment section. I know I said a lot. No one gets down there. Get into the comment section. Tell us what you think about this deck, this main deck. Is there any cards you would change in this main deck if you had to play this exact same event again?
um, I'd love to sit here and say I would run it exactly card for card. Not to give away too much, I've probably already made a few changes in the deck garage. Adapting is always my thing. I likely would never run the same deck back to back. I
Okay.
won this event. I went 10-1, but by no means was this deck a dominant deck that if I walked into the same event, I could expect the same outcome. It was not that case. What Ivan ran, who started off 6-0, was probably something that was much more dominant considering the high volume of trap dust shoots and the way he played around the trap dust shoot meta. Playing triple Solemn Judgment, triple Jar Greed. And I hate to be the one who keeps pointing at someone else's deck, but second place's deck is, if we ran this match back again, I don't think there's a two-win strategy there for me, but I'd give it my all, and I think Zombyra would go for the ride with me in those game ones.
Right on, right on. And all right, so now let's talk about this side deck because there's some interesting text in there as well. And however much you want, you're willing to share. Again, I know I get all you top players on this damn show, and everybody wants to be very cagey about their side decking strategies and about their card choices. I'm putting your feet to the fire. I need you to tell me about this side deck, and I need you to tell me what cards go in for what matchup. As much as you want to tell, I'm kidding about the feet to the fire, but let us know about your side decking techniques and your strategies with these cards you put here, and how do they perform for you in this event.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think some of the more obvious choices when we're talking about a few things. Let's talk about the mirror match, right? If I'm
Hmm.
playing Chaos Turbo, there's a couple options. And this has been brought up in War League, so I don't think it's state secret. And the funniest part about having one with Zombyra is to watch the next morning all of the chatter about why it works or why it's trash and all the benefits, pros, cons, and everybody had their own flavor of why it worked and why it didn't work. But for the Chaos Turbo mirror match, a couple things come to mind. Um, you got to know your opponent. You got to know what your opponent's typically used to doing as far as their side decking strategy. So, for example, if you look at Ghost Rider's winning deck list, he tends to come in with a heavy warrior package with reinforcements of the armies and triple mind control. That's not somebody I want Dekoichis in, right? At that point, I'm probably going to keep my Zombyras and take out my Dekoichis and say, look, you be lucky if you want to try to hit a flip effect, but I don't mind summoning Spy. I don't mind using my Faiths just as fodder to pitch with Regeki breaks so that way there are lights in the graveyard. I'll do what I can to blank all of your mind controls, but that's specific to that player
Right.
because I know he's on 3 mind controls, right? There are players that I know use Kaiku. There are players I know that use Wing Blast versus Regeki break. I know where I can afford to summon and set against certain players, and certain players have tendencies, at least from my film study, to use only 1 mind control or deciding whether they go first or second to use trap dust shoot. So my monster count can vary based on that. But I mean, the typical cards, if you look at my side deck, nothing really comes in against Chaos Turbo with the exception of possibly Tsukiyomi, and I won't give away if I do or don't, but definitely the 2 mind controls. And cards that you float out there are cards like Mirror Force, Torrential, Zombyra, Dekoichi, Card Destruction, depending on who's leading or not. Um, I will say this, I'll give this away. If I know my opponent has a tendency of just running one Night Assailant, I don't mind using Card Destruction in that matchup. There may be an opportunity for them to recycle a Night Assailant effect, but it's not as devastating as those players who run 2 Night Assailants. So Card D's fallen out of favor for being in the main because of all the Chaos Turbo Mirror matches, but being able to card D and find a specific card, such as a Nobleman or a Trap Dust Shoot or Mind Control, in this matchup is critical. So I tend to keep it in depending on my opponent. So it's very opponent dependent. Do your homework, do your film study. You'll know who you're up against, and you'll be able to make the right swaps from your main and side deck. But yeah, those 3 cards are the viable options when you're dealing with the Turbo matchup. If you know your opponent's going in on all warriors like a Ghost Rider, I'm probably not going to bring in these mind controls. I'm probably going to figure out how to keep my Zombyras in there and protect myself from my Dekoichi. So maybe I'll bring in a Suki and a mind control, take out 2 Dekos against Ghost Rider. He also sets his hand a lot, brings in warriors, so maybe Trap Dust Shoots come out for Saku's. So it's very much you need to be aware.
Vibrational. It's on vibrational frequencies in there. You're always nice. What about this Soul X and the Mobiuses and the
Yeah,
Meta?
you want to get to the juicy stuff,
No,
right? You want to
I'm
get to
just
the
that.
juicy.
No, take your time, champ. I just want. I'm trying to see like how are you mixing that whole pot together? I'm trying to see. You take your time though.
Yeah. So I want to take a step back, and you could probably bring up an image, but FLC 30. I also ran Chaos Turbo and a Swiss tournament. I'm a fan and not a fan of the Swiss time limits and the framework around it, but it's something that allows us to, at our leisure, be able to play our matches, and I think it's great for those who can't dedicate a full day. So shout out to former library for running those events and hosting those. But FLC 30, if you pull up my deck list, you'll see I ran the Zombyras in the main, just like I've been doing for the past maybe month at the PWCQs on GoFormat.com. I ran guard. I ran 2 Jar Greed. So I felt like I had a lot of speed, a lot of consistency. But what I lacked was going into the side deck when it came to having outs to handle this flip warrior matchup. So one of the things against Flip Warriors, it's very risky to use cards like Nobleman or Crossout
Hmm.
because they could be on flips, could not be on flips. It's dangerous for you to knock a spy, and then all of a sudden you're out your own spies, which are important in that matchup because you are dealing with warriors. So in place of my Nobleman, sometimes I'd bring in Soul Exchange in that matchup with Mobiuses because it allowed me to take face up or face down monsters and tribute for Mobius. Worst case scenario, my Thunder Dragon. And in some cases, if they happen to leave a BLS out there, I can Metamorphosis or tribute it. with Mobius or Metamorphosis. So Soul Exchange did come in if I were going to run into like a Flip Warrior matchup. Outside of that, I'd probably use it against those decks that I want extra no mana crossouts in, but not necessarily mind controls. And those type of decks I'm talking about are decks that run Pyramid Turtle, Giant Rat, whether it's Burn or some zombie control variant. A lot of people were running cards like Reaper at that last event, and being able to do some variety with the work of Soul Exchange helped me not have to bring in mind control where it's vulnerable. And then I had the Mobiuses obviously because if I'm going to combo off with these Soul Exchange, I need the Mobiuses. I will say the Mobiuses were easy enough to drop with the consistency because of stuff like Soul Exchange, my Spy surviving, my Zombyras being big enough. So that combination of cards was something that I looked forward to. And then shout out to Ludo who placed top 3 at one of the events with Flip Control. And because of that, I said, if anybody wanted to go that route or side into that route, I could definitely at least deal with multiple Faiths, multiple Reapers, multiple Spies. I know Lucas, who recently won an event, had his Warrior siding into I think 9 set monsters, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And I said, I'm gonna have to do something about this. So Soul Exchange would come in those type of players. So again, know your player, know who you're up against. I did not bring in Soul Exchange against every Warrior matchup. If it was simply Warrior strategy, I was not bringing it in. It was an alternative option, by the way, for King Tiger Wanghu abusers. So again, know your opponent. If I know my opponent is somebody who's on 3 King Tiger Wanghus, they're going to catch this Mobius and they're going to catch this Soul Exchange, and these hands are going to hurt because when they go 2 for 3 and then have to use something against Mobius, I'm really going 4 for 2 at that point. So the King Tiger Wanghu is a vulnerable card against me. I would advise against this. So oops, if you play me this week, if the video comes out and you hear this part, don't try it. Don't try that King Tiger Wanghu against me. I'm not coming at you. Zombyra and Soul Exchange are going to say hello, and you're going to be sad. So shout out to you. Oops. I'll see you tomorrow. But yeah, Soul Exchange plays its part. Mobius plays its part. The Warrior package is pretty simple. I mean, if you look at the Shuffle Deck Gaming 5K event that went down, you saw a lot of people converting into control strategies, and Pete Tran recently was successful in going from Warrior to a control deck. I didn't go as deep into the control but I felt having a significant number of goats, whether it be 2 or 3 against particular players, having the Metamorphosis against those players to slow the game down some, and obviously Tsukiyome's basically kills 2/3 of a Warrior's lineup. So all that plays a nice package that flows very nicely. And I mean, I'm not gonna break news here, but if you take out your Noblemans and your Trap Dust Shoots, you put in your metas and let's say your goats right there, that's an easy flip for you guys. So for those taking notes, obviously those are easy 5. After that, again, you're worried about whether or not you want Decos, you want Nidasons, you want Cardies, do you want those upstarts? If your opponent's a very heavy, they're just really out there to let their life go and they play Solemns recklessly, I try not to have upstarts against those type of players sometimes. I know that's like a no-no in Chaos Turbo, but typically, again, if you're going to pay your life on every card I play, I'm going to not try to give you any recovery speed on that. You're not bold enough to hold that Solemn Judgment. I don't want to give you a chance later on. So, and the last 2 cards were Saku's. Saku's play a significant role to protect your flips when you take out stuff like, or you have only things like Scapegoats. You can't necessarily run in there with out them because there are a lot of Warriors on triple Blade Knight, double level 2. So if your Decos are in deck or your Nidasons are in deck, you need to be able to protect them with Sakuretsu armor. If I didn't have flips in there that needed protection, I wouldn't bring in the Saku. So again, it's very Warrior dependent. I never went always 8 for 8. The 8 being, the 3 goats, 2 Saku, 2 Meta, and Tsukiyomi. I would vary it up a little bit. And part of that is because replays are public knowledge, and I needed my opponent to see multiple copies of Mobius. I needed them to see multiple copies of Saku sometime. Just to be in their ear, in their minds, playing at, wow, he has this whole package coming in. against a warrior matchup and have them ready for different things. And again, their play style determined a lot of what I did. Their side decking strategy determined a lot of what I did. So that definitely plays a role. The FLC deck, the reason I brought it up was I found so many unnecessary cards in my side deck at that event. As I went through the rounds, Berserk Gorilla was just it was actually more than I needed against warriors, and that's because I had 2 Tsukiyomes and 3 total Zombyras. The Kaikus did not do nearly as much work as I would hope they did, so those had to come out. Book of Moon, I felt the control strategy was not one that was on an even playing field with Chaos Turbo. I know Ivan talks about this on the GOAT format, Chaos Turbo forum all the time. It's Chaos Turbo's favorite matchup, and that's because we abuse it with the Regeki breaks and the Tsukiyome and the main deck Book of Moon. We bring in a 3rd Regeki break from the side. Torrential, obviously those type of cards just ruin that deck, and you're at a huge advantage. So a lot of my side decking cards, Swords of Villain Light, it was great, but with the heavy uptick of flips, I couldn't afford a -1 there. I also couldn't afford for them to stall the board just to drop Mobius on it. The same thing with that 3rd Sakuretsu. So I had to be very wary of my opponents who played Mobius, typically in their past against Chaos Turbo post side, to make sure that those Sakus weren't vulnerable against them. So again, a lot of knowing what you're up against determines your side decking strategy, but a simple 5 for 5 that I'll share with you guys is you drop the Nox, drop the Dust Shoots, and you have your control package with 2 metas and 3 goats, and you should be fairly smooth riding from there. So that's a good strategy against any aggro deck. And that's the other part. Goats and meta versus something like Saku and Swords. These type of events, especially with European players, tend to bring out the worst in people. They decide they want to show up with stuff like Reasoning Gate Turbo. When people are trying to grind with Turbo and Warrior, they show up with Reasoning Gate Turbo. How dare they? It's one of those if they're going into that aggro strategy, they're true nades. They laugh at your Sakuretsu armors. They laugh at your swords, and you'd only hope to be able to activate cards. So Scapegoat plays a huge role in that matchup also, and I don't mind sharing that because if it helps knock out some RGT players. For me in the later rounds, I'd be all welcome to.
Nah, FTK play. You gotta watch out for Campo 7S is going that FTK bag. You know what I'm saying? I gotta knock him out fast. We gotta get Campos out of here with that.
I don't understand his run. His run was insane. I want to say he won. I think he went 6-2. He won the first 3, lost the next 3, then lost. The deck. I mean, I fishbowled it in solo mode. Shout out to DB solo mode. And the algorithm doesn't work. You don't do it. And I've played some ladder matches with it on their alt, and that deck is horrible. It's a disease. It draws terrible. God bless Campos 7/7s.
All right, but hey, again, tell us what you think about the whole deck, the whole main deck and the side deck. When you play a deck like this, do you like it? I love it. You know what I'm saying? I bought my Zombyra the dogs before they blow up. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you guys go out there and copy your ultra rare Zombyra the dark. But hey, while I got you here, champ, we got some film. I'm gonna pull this film up. You sent me this video from your first match, first round. We're gonna do a little bit of breakdown for you guys out there. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. You know what I'm saying, to the vibes. You like to see the coach come by here and talk about some GOAT format. So I'm gonna pull this video up. All right, so here we go. Now we're back at the replay. This is coming from round number 1. Again, this entire VOD was 12 hours long. It was an epic stream, so get over there and check that whole thing out. I don't want to spoil the finals. If you haven't seen it yet, go back over and look at the finals. But this is from round number 1. It was not featured on the stream, so we're going to get the champ to go ahead and break down how he played this thing and some of the strengths and weaknesses of the deck that he ran for this event. Are you ready to do this, champ?
Yeah, ready to do it. And before we start, one of the things I want to do is first I'll give a shout out to Master B. Cool guy. He's just getting back into GOAT format, and it's these type of matchups that I enjoy. And right off the get, you guys will see an interaction between he and I that sort of goes to the wholesomeness of what we should be doing as this community, and that's making sure players are aware, teaching people, bringing them up, making sure they feel comfortable, welcomed, and you'll see the exchange here in a moment. But I wanted to showcase this because it was the first round of the event. You don't get these opportunities against less experienced players in the latter rounds. It's typically more experienced players. But it also showcases a special card that I know you guys would love to see. and a combination of cards that you guys would love to watch. So here we go.
All right, so you got the dice roll. You got to go first. Okay, okay. So looks like a pretty good opening turbo hand here.
Yeah, so typically in this situation, I mean, that Zombyra may have been like a Book of Moon, a Spy, or a Tsukuyomi from your traditional Chaos Turbo list. But nonetheless, depending on my matchup, maybe I don't want a Spy in this case, right? So you'll see how this match obviously plays out, but obviously discard my Thunder Dragon to begin before I upstart. Once I upstart, you'll see I hit a Sorcerer. So right now I got my Light Dark. One of the cool things about Zombyra is that it is a dark. It supports your Sorcerer with Thunder Dragons in play. And it's one of those cards that you know are going to hit the graveyard and not get knocked. Very similar to how a Kaiku. I always felt safe that a Kaiku would make its way to the graveyard at some point. It serves that purpose, right? So here in this case, I just set up, if my opponent is a Chaos Turbo player, if he goes set, I have my, quote, knock play by having my Night Assailant down. So I think that's a decent start.
And that's one thing I have noticed. A lot of turbo players, they tend to hold on to those Night Assailants. They don't like to set them. They like try to get the flip effect back, and they don't enjoy putting them onto the field. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's depending on how fast your hand could be. If I have flip effects that I could have used with my Night Assailant, I may have decided to hold it. In this case, I have no answer to their starting set, whether it be Deco or Spy or Faith. So I'd like to have my Night Assailant down, perhaps. I wanted to, if it was a Warrior matchup, to make him think twice, whether if he had a Blade Knight and a level 2 or a Rhoda for Exile. If they're going to do anything, I hope that they use their Rhoda and Exile. In this case, he happened to have a Blade Knight, not many other options. So he went with the Blade Knight and swung at me. And obviously you see there he negated my Night Assailant. So here's that wholesome moment, right? I noticed that he moved on to main phase 2, and I said, wait a minute, his Blade Knight went to the graveyard. So I had a conversation with him before he ends his turn, or I try to catch it before then, that obviously it's both players' responsibility. I'm a War Chief in War League, and it is both players' responsibility to make sure that the game state is always as accurate as it should be. So I remind him the Blade Knight negates the effect of the Night Assailant.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
He should have that monster. So he goes ahead and brings it back to the field. I do not begin my turn and then decide I want to have him bring the Blade Knight back up. I try to. So at end phase, I try to MST, hoping to hit something like a Trap Dust Shoot to avoid any issues. And here, obviously, you draw the Godsend of Graceful Charity to clear away any potential issues here. So
nice.
This is a great draw for me. So one of the other things I noticed about my opponent, just check his back row for me, the one behind the. So it's a Mirror Force. Now, most players don't want to set Mirror with Torrential at the same time, and I understand it. But what he allowed me to do is he allowed his hand count to be high enough that if I drew Dust Shoots, which are typically dead in Warrior matchups, he allowed it to be live. So you'll see here one of my 2 Zombyras come down. Because I have a second one, because I have a Trap Dust Shoot, I feel like I can mitigate some damage at 8,000. So I don't mind attacking or trying to attack over a Blade Knight. Eating a Saku or Mirror Force is fine. I have another Zombyra coming down. I have a Chaos Sorcerer play. So I have options here. Being able to see his hand makes me feel like my Snatch and Zombyra will protect me against any threat of a Snatch, Steal, or otherwise. So here, he obviously draws his only out to my Chaos Sorcerer is the DD Warrior Lady. So I remove that, and for the rest of the game, now that I know that that Torrential's there, I'm going to do my best to work around that. And you'll see what happens here. So I'll point out, Master V does a great thing here. Against an experienced player, if you set that Torrential that turn, it's your only back row, I know where that Torrential sits the entire game.
Right.
If you need to draw an additional card that is a back row, and you decide to set 2 of them at one time, my Regeki breaks become less accurate. You know, my Heavy Storm, I have to think twice about whether I want to play it on a single back row because it may or may not be that Torrential. So he was very wise here. If I drew another Dust Shoot, maybe it'd be a blessing, but to send back another card, but we'll see. So I just deal damage. I don't want to commit any cards to the board just in case he happens to draw Heavy Storm.
Okay.
So I'll pause here for a second.
Okay.
He made the mistake here by not shuffling his hand.
Hand shuffling, yeah. Oh man, that's bad.
So immediately I knew, even though he waited the turn to set the Torrential, the following turn he set Torrential, right? So I know where Torrential's at the rest of this game. So
if it had just did a quick little shove, it'd have been a little bit more difficult for you to make that read. It's important,
correct.
kids. Make sure you shuffle your hand.
So here you've already seen, I believe, two dust shoots, and here's my third Zombyra, right? So both dust shoots against Warrior being live, having three Zombyras at play here, definitely made a huge difference in this round one, game one matchup. So
So, but now he's got to play. He can go. He can try to jam the TT with the Mystic Swordsman if he felt so inclined. Let's see if that's what they go for.
yeah, he has options here. So here's his option. He decided to go tribe again. He did not shuffle his hand. So we'll see what he throws out. One of the two cards I know about. So the Blade Knight. So in this case, I have a Regeki break. There's no reason for me with Zombyra, the dog, in my hand. So never fear not being able to get over a tribe. So this is one of those, like, I want to call out the greatness of Zendaya, the dark over here, getting some work in. So he's in a position now.
I like that.
Yeah,
Zendaya the Dark. I like that. I like that. That's a
that's
good one
right.
too.
So he's in a position now where he has to think if he wants to torrential my Zombyra, right? So I'm thinking, hey man, I got a 1900 Zombyra at worst after I kill this tribe. I have a Regeki break with my Sinister down. I can walk right into that torrential. If he wants to do that, that's fine. I have ways to out a potential Kaiku summon or otherwise. So I just run over the top of him. And I'm in a position where I got a 1900, right? So remember we talked about this a little earlier.
Yeah.
Uh, that Zombyra is now staring at a Kaiku, level 2, and a BLS. Um, Kaiku is not getting over a 19. Steel Dark Magician is suiciding with it, right? So like we're talking about specific cards, a 2K Blade Knight, a good Berserk Gorilla, etc. One thing to watch out for, your life points in a Zombyra in attack mode is a dangerous place to be if they have BLS.
Mm.
Being able to attack twice over that is an issue. So here, you asked me in situations where I could have attacked directly with Zombyra. Here's one of those, like, if I could have attacked directly, obviously I put him at half his life.
That'd be
I had
nice.
options here. I could have went Regeki break the back row and summon a breaker just to deal 19 and put him in a sort of a precarious position. I opted this turn not to. I wanted to see one or two more cards before I decided to make that commitment with my Regeki break. It was my only trap card against a potential, premature slash him making some plays in the Warriors. You just want to be careful. So
Yeah, man.
I decided.
If that Zombyra was a nice little skill dark, man, he'd be waxing his health right now. You know what I'm saying? He's too weak. That 19 might be a little too weak. I don't know. He might be on something with his 2100. I don't know.
In future rounds, if you watch the rest of the coverage, you'll see that Zombyra get over spies where Skill Dark Magician would have tucked tail and
Yeah, and he got walled up. Okay.
yeah.
I see what you're saying. So they're going to hard summon the Donnie Z here instead of trying
Right.
to
So
set it.
this
That's a very obvious tell what this duelist is trying to get after right now.
right, he was trying to. He literally spoke. I have a BLS and I don't want my dark to get knocked. Right. So obviously this is game one. Knocks are still in play, so he's trying to play around the Nobleman across out. Figure I'm holding all these cards. That's another thing. Try not to commit too many cards when you don't need to. It makes your opponent fear stuff like Tribe, fear stuff like Snatch.
Mm.
All of the cards you normally hold for big plays, make a difference here. This is my, I believe, third trap dust shoot. So just check my graveyard real quick. Second one. Okay, so remember two. Okay, so here I clear the back row. I feel proper with summoning Breaker here, knowing that I have a trap dust shoot and a snatch to protect myself. So here comes the Breaker. Obviously Zombyra does the spill damage. He comes down to 17. So deal direct, and that's his dark, right? But my trap dust shoot says if he does have the chaos monster, I'm gonna get around it. So in this position, I activate the trap dust shoot, and I believe he decides that that's just enough. So complete control, 3 Zombyras, 2 got played. The third one was waiting for any Kaiku or Ninja Grandmaster nonsense to go down for him to come back and Zane the Dark right over the top of him. So
Okay. Going into game number 2. I see you brought the control stuff in. He's got the Zinger in there. I like what old Master B's got going on here, playing like some Rampage style warrior deck. So you got 6 in hand. You got the singing. That life point just looks good, man. I like to tickle the health when I can see that. Oh, there it is. There it is. I like
yeah,
that.
In this position, you have options, right? You could set Sangan or summon it, probably. Setting it runs the risk of it getting nobleman, and because I already have a Regeki Break and Metamorphosis, the value of being able to search a Sinister Serpent is too high to risk a nobleman across out. The worst he could do to me is zing me. He could also obviously heavier MST and then summon a DD Warrior Lady. So in this case, he does zing me. It's kind of painful. I was hoping that it would not be one of those zing situations and just have the MST for possible top deck trap dust shoot.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how it goes here. So he sets back row.
That Sangan's got legs, man. Just keep sending Sangan in there. Why not?
I'll keep sending him off. Now, he told me he didn't have Heavy Storm. He obviously probably didn't need to trade if he did have it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't believe he had Heavy Storm. I thought to myself, if things hit the fan where I need to Regeki Break and sacrifice a card, like a Regeki Break, to protect my Sangan from like a DD Warley, I wouldn't mind doing it.
Okay.
So I said that's fine. I would Regeki Break the Zing, Saku / MST the new back row, so that way my Sakuretsu or my trap would be able to protect me against a DD Warrior Lady.
The dog is back on him. Okay, gonna crack in. He's gonna have to Saku that. Yeah.
Right. So this is one of those positions where at this point, I had a feeling it was obviously something that Zombyra can get over, and I said it's something that likely Sang couldn't get over, because otherwise he'd probably just take another 1,000. So I just went to defense mode. And you'll see, obviously, it's an exile force, but at this point, we're just letting him play out his turns and see what happens. Here, I'm not 100% sure why he didn't try DD Warrior Lady.
Yeah.
To go with Sangan, but nonetheless, he went with Ninja. So, fortune for me.
Yeah, I probably go use that Rhoda. This is for both sides. This is Coach's Corner, so we're helping Master B. If you're watching this video, this is no disrespect to you at all, Master B. I'm glad you're playing this event. Hopefully, we see you more. But I definitely go Rhoda for DD right there, and then try to get that Sangan up out of there. But you know what?
And I get it. I get what he's thinking. I think he's thinking when Sangan searches, if it goes and gets a flip effect monster, he has to set exile there to take care of it. And I'm sure as soon as if he listens to this video, he happens to watch it, he's going to say, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or, that resource was still available to him. So I figured, that's what was going on there.
Okay. Well, all right. So there it is. There's the Magician of Fade. Let's see how to go and do the RB now. Pop the unknown. Get the Serp back, and it's Thousand Eyes time, right? We're going Thousand Eyes here, or
Yeah, we're going Thousand Eyes here. And the one thing I thought about here was whether to take the face down or face up. And I had a feeling that the face down was a spy, to be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't feel like the spy was necessarily a threat to me. And I had just released my traps. I released his back row, and I'm still not afraid of his traps. I don't believe he has Heavy Storm. I figured I had an extra turn here. And when he didn't flip here, I said, well, wait a minute. Maybe it's not spy, because you probably would flip spy and deal a hell of a damage. I did have a back row the previous turn he attacked with Ninja, so I said it's not DD Warrior Lady. He would have used it versus Ninja. I had no idea what it was at this point. I was like, what is he saving down there? It's not Dawn. But I did want to have my trap live just in case it was a level 2 he's been sneakily keeping down there. In this case, it was Exile, so I couldn't do anything about it. And to be honest, the level 2 would have been a hard problem for me, because Saku could only stop one of the two, right? So here I'm down sort of cards because I'm locked out. It's 5 to 5 or 6 cards. So here's an upstart, and here's the balance maker of balance makes.
Freaking duo. Okay, so he got the Rhoda, which he could have cashed that in. He could have cashed that Rhoda in, but they're gonna go ahead and hit the snatch deal out of there. Got the premature and BLS deal. Gonna set the Faith up, so that's a pretty good Faith, but he's got that premature. He hung on to that, rightfully so. But he didn't use it.
So here, I don't understand why he didn't flip spy here, right? He could have got really aggressive. I was definitely prepared to save some life points by going, I want to say Regeki Break to the Zing. But again, we'll see how this plays out once I get back my spell.
All right, he sets up the Dust Tornado. All right. RB on the Zing now. MST on. Oh, that's cool. I like that. But he didn't. That's in phase, right?
Yeah, it's all in phase.
Okay. Okay, then we go Serpent again. Probably go Meta up again. Okay, okay. Thousand Eyes is going to target the Blade Knight. Gotcha. And they're going to hit it, and now you get walled up by the spy. Cool.
Yeah, so check his graveyard for me real quick. So if the face down, if I took the face down spy, my fear was Thousand Eyes got answered, and then BLS is live.
Yeah.
So I didn't want that. Now again, I put him on spy again. This time I was fine. I needed to reveal it to make sure it was spy. I could have some trickery coming down the pipe. But I know I don't have noblements in my deck, so it's not like I'm holding off for a nobleman to cash in on that set monster where I would pass and just let him go. So it's a questionable decision, but that's sort of the mindset I had going into that.
He draws does shoot, set does shoot pass. You get the good charity. Okay. And you get the Serp back. I'm playing it. I'm snapping that right on onto the field. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah. It happens often enough to me. It's kind of quite amazing, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it happened sometimes in War League too. So
I mean, you do have the Surf already, though, but that's just so lame, man. I hate when that happens.
yeah.
Oh, that is so lame. Okay, okay, but you do get another faith down there. I like that. And then maybe he'll use it. He's still hanging on to this premature. He's still holding on to this premature burial. I like that too
Yes.
from Master B.
Yeah, he's not showing any rush to get this over with, and I think I mentioned this earlier, and I hate to keep referring back to it, but I think the longer these games go, the more opportunities you allow the experienced player to get to cards like Duel, cards like Graceful Charity, Pot of Greed, and some people aim recklessly at us and they pay the price for it. But if you also wait too long, you're giving us the opportunities that we need. So
Yeah, be a little. I think it's time to get a little bit aggressive. I think, but he still didn't have that light monster. He's probably waiting on a light monster to come in, and or a dark monster. He's trying to get a dark into the grave. Yeah, so I'll probably wait a little bit. But man, now you got the Tsukiyomi loop set up. Man, it's just getting messy. All right.
Well, okay, so pause real quick. Here,
Okay.
what was awkward was he knew I had a Thunder Dragon only because he had just sent back the Serp.
Mm-hmm.
So he got a little ballsy and extra cautious with his Trap Dust Shoot as to not send back just my Thunder Dragon. So there was a few comments today in War League about holding the Trap Dust Shoot. So that underneath that first spy is a Trap Dust Shoot that he could have played and sent back my Suki. And he decided to hold it, and I made him pay by actually drawing a Tsukuyomi that turn. Obviously flip down and start making some advantage plays here for myself.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And obviously I know there's a BLS coming, so I mitigate that risk of taking his dark by removing the two cards in hand. So he was unable to drop BLS. I'm no longer afraid of dark, so here I am taking advantage of that and stealing away his dark monster. So managing their graveyard, whether it's Edison, whether it's GOAT format, it's important. So look out for that, kids.
Now he plays the Trap Dust Shoot. Okay. Okay. Gets rid of the Tsukiyomi. Slam into the main phase. You got the Saku down there just in case. Maybe Dust Tornado. Double Goat. And now you're kind of in this weird spot too. This does get a little weird to me when I'm sitting here just staring down the damn defense position. GK Spy. He's got his back row, and you're just kind of at a standstill now because now the onus on you. Your life is getting pretty low. So I'm assuming you want to end this thing too.
Yeah, this is typical detox goat mirrors for me, right? Like I don't mind sitting in these positions where I can just wall up, feel safe behind some traps and some goats and some Thousand Eyes, and wait for common cards to end the game, like BLS and Tribe, right? So I don't mind waiting on those type of positions here. So again, this was one of those real long matchups, long games. John Wick is waiting patiently for me next round. He's watching the match, saying this guy Alvarado's on the control side strategy. He's biting me. He's copying what I used to do. But in reality, it's a good strategy. And shout out to Mr. Wick. Hope he's doing well. Prayers, my brother. So here's a funny situation with the Kaiku sitting up there to prevent me from dropping Chaos next to my TR. But I know the dog is waiting for the Kaiku. The dog is waiting for him. So,
oh man, it's got the snatch, and now we're just kind of in like you said, just kind of a stalled position, but you're kind of just hanging out here, and you're going to start launching some attacks with 1,000 Ice Strict, hitting the DD Warrior Lady, and seeing if he's going to elect to banish. And he's not going to banish. I think that's a good not banish right there, in my opinion, because that
Yeah.
1,000 Ice Strict is doing just as much work for him as it is for you in this current board state. I would feel.
Yep.
So he gets
Absolutely, probably one of the better choices for him.
so he gets the ring, and then
So he doesn't set it, which I think is it's a good decision. I think he's trying to say, I can wait for Heavy Storm, I can wait for Chaos to hit the board. My life is 8,000. I'll use it then,
mm-hmm.
which is fair. I think it's a good decision here. Here, I simply say I'm gonna force him to take action. I have a torrential down that I could use if he decides to out this Thousand Eyes. He doesn't, and now I say, okay, you're gonna have to banish it now, right? Which he does, and now I can actually begin to start generating some more field presence and advantage.
Okay.
You see, here I have all three of my goats. So these would have been trap dushers for those watching at home and following along with the siding strategy.
All right, he held that graceful too for a little bit. Now he's got breaker in hand, ring of destruction, dust tornado gonna hit the goats. He's got a really juicy ring. This ring is a nice win condition, especially when you got that dog right there. I would probably get that thing on the field at some point, but let's see. He probably doesn't know the vibes all the way yet. This is round number 1. Oh, there you go. He finally sets it. He puts it down.
I hate to play spoiler, but this game, I end up winning this match 2-0-1. And
Oh,
those following at home, that 0-1 is a draw. So I don't know if you want to fast forward to the rest of this, but what ends up playing out is I deal enough chip damage. He allows me to steal some of his life points away. And eventually I feel like the threat of him going into a heavy storm ring type play for the win was too great of a threat. And I elect to put the
oh.
threat of BLS out there
Why
for
is he
him
not
to.
playing? He should have. Yeah, I think he should have ripped that mirror force right there. Save some health, man. He's being too patient, being conservative, being a little conservative. You got to play your cards. Hey, there he is. Finally ripped the mirror force. Could have been 16 up, and now you get your ring of destruction. Now, all right. So we're gonna keep rocking. We're gonna see what happens here. As Solemn is gonna half your health right there. Now he's at 24. Oh man, they got MST on the goats.
Which he didn't end phase, so I played here. And you
Okay,
know what?
okay. This is on his own turn. Okay, okay.
Yeah, his draw phase. I wasn't sure what the thought process was there, but at this point he must be thinking about decking me out. He's at 8 cards. If I was following along, this was live, I'd be able to tell you what 8 cards are likely left in his deck. But
Hmm.
that Heavy Storm was one of them, and I was really worried that a combination of Heavy Storm would come down and force my hand. So eventually, I just decided I need to go ahead and drop a card because yeah, there it was. It was a combination of Heavy Storm, Tribe, and Ring that I was worried about. So I said, you know
Hmm.
what, I'm going to force a draw now and elect to have him decide what he wants to do. Here he needs one extra card if he has the ring, because Tribe would only clear one type,
Hmm.
either Beast or Warrior. So I know I have at least one more turn to threaten him, and he decides to ring for a draw.
Yeah, he had that Kaiku set too, man. He probably could have had that thing flipped up. I think Master B left a lot of plays on the table, but still, you know what I'm saying? We gotta draw. And now who won the dice on this one? You got the dice again. Okay, so you're gonna be
Listen,
going first. It is hey.
RPS Beast.
you gotta win. Oh, he brings in the soul release. I like that. I like a little soul release coming on in there. Okay, come out, get a little bit of delinquent duo. Love that. And you get them TDs on hand. Okay, okay. And same, did you side deck anything else? Based on what Master V showed you, did you make any different
No,
changes? You just kind of ran it
no,
straight back.
we went deep enough into the bag where I didn't see threats like King Tiger Wang, who
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see randomness that would have walled me out that Zombyra should be worried about. I didn't see anything that my goats should be worried about. So I said, you know what, we're going to run it back card for card as it was. In this case, I don't know if he made the best decision. We'll see what happens here. I don't recall if he heavies or not, but yeah, he decides to hold on to heavy. I don't get it. If you had other monsters and you're looking to maybe push with other monsters
Yeah.
later, holding the heavy would have made more sense. But he puts himself in a position where my deck goes a floater now, and he's not protecting anything much with that mirror force. So I didn't understand that per se.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna keep poking away probably. Yeah,
And
don't
that's
want to
how you
risk a
get it.
ton.
This is how Turbo wins most of their matches. Just a little train, just going crazy on your health. It's so bad. Oh
So
man.
here, yeah, I waited the turn, figure he wouldn't set another back row, happened to flip to get the 2-for-1 again with the duo. Here I'm forcing out his power cards. Show me Mirror Force, show me Torrential. I have plenty of juice in the bag right now with my spell and traps and my two Chaos guys that are basically live.
Yeah.
So here I'm just pushing to sort of minimize the game state. And this is where I meant Chaos Turbo is just head and heels above Warrior when it comes to the advantage game. Like they're not doing much in the face of you at this state, right? You're just pushing, and
Yeah.
they're down cards they can't recover.
And
So
once they go in second, you go behind, you get duo, you're done. Like you gotta be able to get that. Maybe they come out like you said with that heavy storm and hit the deco with the guy. Maybe that could. It's still. I think he had too much juice this time. And I like the old metamorphosis into resentient. See, Chaos Turbo can't do that. Maybe after the side deck. That's why you guys need to play some Chaos Control. You know what I'm saying? Bringing that resentient out with the BLS to get a nice little kill confirm. You know what I'm saying? Those are the kind of plays that I live for as a control player. But you know what? I love the deck. I love this deck, and I love the breakdown. I like the way you had. I like everything you had to say about it. Obviously, champ. You know what I'm saying. But thanks for breaking that down. And hopefully, if you're watching at home, I know it's a longer video, but I know a lot of you like the longer videos. And I hope if you're new to this game, you were able to learn something from one of the best players we have in GOAT format. Anthony Alvarado is an open book, and he's readily available on Discord all the time. He's a bevy of knowledge. He's a wealth of knowledge. You know what I'm saying. So make sure you guys tap into that if you are interested in becoming a better GOAT format player. You have the resources to do that. You know what I'm saying, champ. I really appreciate it, man. You coming by and talking to us again. Let's get some special shout outs, man, before we wrap this thing up and shut it on down.
yeah, definitely shout out to the GOAT format War League. I think it's one of the best and worst communities, and I say it lovingly, and it's because it keeps you entertained, keeps you coming back for more. It's the Jerry Springer of 2023 goats. It's a wild place, but a fun place, and I know for the most part, as hardcore as everybody wants to think they are, I think they all do it in good fun and just to keep things just enough spice. So shout out to those guys. Shout out obviously to my teammates of Overdose and the two affiliated teams, Detox and Rehab. A huge support for those guys. I want to see the game grow. I don't care if it's directly teammates that I've played with for years or players from other countries who are looking for opportunities to grow and be a part of something much bigger. I think that's the goal of having affiliated teams. It's not about necessarily winning every week, but showing that there's opportunities for everyone to have conversations and build friendships. And I enjoy everybody that's in my Overdose server. Shout out again to Detox and how much hard work they're putting in, and especially Rehab. They're the only team in the league with a positive plus minus and match differential with the losing record. I think somebody pointed out a stat that I pointed out to the team in the server, which was, Chaos Kings in our conference is 5-2 with a +2, whereas Rehab has a +4 win differential and they're 2-5, right? So it's just a matter of that one match making a difference. So hopefully next season and future seasons, the team has much bigger success. So shout out to them. Obviously, nothing against Chaos Kings. Obviously they're doing their thing, winning clutch matchups. So shout out to them. But Overdose, my team, my family, my best friend Chris, means the world to me inside and outside of Yu-Gi-Oh. Obviously, my family who's patient with me, they mean the world to me also. So I have a lot of world to give these people, but they're patient with me, man. I told you over the stream, to have folks in your corner that uh, make you a cup of coffee when you're looking dead at a computer monitor, making sure that you're getting something to eat, getting you some water, understanding that the 3-hour day that you had planned to play Yu-Gi-Oh turned into 12 because you happened to start off 3-0,
Mm.
and they knew that something special was happening, and to show that patience meant the world to me. They never let me feel bad about sitting in front of the computer for a few hours. They know how hard I work during the regular week to provide for them. So It's what I do. It's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about this community. I'm passionate about giving to those. And I'm subservient by nature, and I'm here to serve the community. So, like you said, anyone willing to or wanting to drop in my DMs to get some knowledge or get some help, ask questions. I'm an open book. I don't obviously give away complete deck lists, but I do like to share my thoughts and what I need. So shout out to, again, my overdose, the Go community, and everyone else. Shout out to the Greek players. They've been awesome. They've been looking for support, and Punisher is one guy who he's interested in learning to grow, and just like Master B, we got to welcome these people who are coming into the Go community, make them feel comfortable, show them the ropes, have fun while we're doing it. It's okay to bring them into our banter, but be conscious of the fact that it's not everyone's cup of tea or coffee. So just a huge shout out and much love and respect to you all, the OGs of the game, Team Rampage, my opponents, my rivals, my competitors, everyone just makes this all work. It's a great recipe for commitment and just joy. So I appreciate everybody, to be honest.
Hell
Shout
yeah.
out to you all.
Hell yeah, man. When are we going to get Anthony Alvarado Overdose YouTube GOAT format? When is that going to start happening? I keep pressuring you to do it. When is that going to start dropping, man? Let me know. I'll be your first like and subscriber, man, because you definitely have the information and you need to put it onto the internet so more people can share that with you.
I'm getting more and more pressure these days to do it, not only from the GOAT community, but even my own family. They said, Dad, you have a way of framing your words. You have a way of reaching out to people and being the glue that sort of brings the community together. So whether it be in Yu-Gi-Oh, whether it be in fitness, whether it be in whatever I decide to take an online platform to, they said, you just have so much to say. And obviously this video is probably an hour long, so you guys will not have much to say if you got this far. But just enjoy it all. I don't know how much time I would have to commit to it with everything else that I got going on. So that's probably the only reservation I have. I like to commit. I'm very hyper focused. And once I commit and work on something, my focus and attention is 100% on it. So I'm in fear of another addiction, JDZ.
Right on, man. Well, if you ever want to use this platform, I always have a spot for you. Anything you want to do, anything you want to say, you can use me or use the goatformat.com YouTube page to put that stuff out there, because people like to hear from you. I like to hear from you, and I like to learn, and I want to ensure that the information is shared among the GOAT world, you know what I'm saying, as I call it. Well, cool.
Absolutely. And shout out to those who help organize and keep this thing together. So again, Scully, yourself, all the admins at all the different servers, Europe, Go Format Library, all the servers, you guys all do a fantastic job, and you keep this environment live for us. So appreciate every one of y'all.
Hell yeah, champ, man. I appreciate it, brother. Well, hey, I'm gonna let you go, man. You're a busy man. I know you got stuff to do. Again, huge congratulations and thank you for coming by, sharing your deck with us, sharing your information with us, and hopefully if one person watches this video and becomes a better duelist because of it, it was value added. All right, brother. And we'll be in touch until we got to do something else. We're gonna keep rocking, I'm sure.
Yeah, PWC 44 is coming down, Blaine. So hopefully I'm available for that one. Just make sure it's a good day for me, and I'll be there.
All right, bro.
4-4 signing out, baby.
All right, bro. All right. So that was